D.021. Most commissioners will call in and the meeting will be viewable via webcast and TV options. The video is also posted on the website, the Minneapolis Park Board's website, usually 2 days after the meeting. For tonight's meeting, I will begin the process. I will take us through the election of the president, and then I will hand the meeting over to the president. Just as a note to commissioners, I'll be using Section 1D2 of the board rules, which allows for 3 minutes the first time an individual talks or commissioner talks on a topic, and 1 minute the second time they talk on a topic. So with that, I will begin with a roll call. Commissioner Vita.
Present.
Commissioner Severson.
Present.
Commissioner Musich.
Present.
Commissioner Meyer.
Present.
Commissioner Hassan.
Present.
Commissioner French.
Here.
Commissioner Forney.
Present.
Commissioner Cogill.
Here.
Commissioner Bourne.
Here.
We have 9 commissioners present.
Deputy Superintendent, just for the record, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to have Deputy Superintendent Ringgold act as the secretary for the annual meeting on January 4th, 2021.
Second.
Council Rice, does that require a roll call vote?
I don't think that it does. As the rules say, the secretary will hold the office until.
I think we just had this confusion last year with some clarification with the rules. I think this is tradition, but President Cogill is still the president until he's either reelected or he's still the presiding officer. And if we want to carry on this tradition of having, and it's a good tradition, I think if there's unanimous consent with that, it's just on the record that this is where we're varying from our rules.
That makes sense.
Is there any opposition? Seeing no hands raised, I will proceed with approval of the agenda. Do I have someone who would move the agenda?
I move it. I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. I will take any discussion on the agenda. Seeing no hands raised, I will do a roll call vote. On the agenda, Commissioner Vita.
Aye.
Commissioner Severson.
Aye.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Hassan.
Aye.
Commissioner French.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Cogill. Commissioner Bourne.
Aye.
There are 9 ayes and we have an agenda. I will then move on to the election of the president. Just one moment. So I will now open it up for nominations for president. Commissioners may nominate any commissioner, including themselves, for office. A second is not required to be nominated, but a second to the nomination is allowed, and it has been customary to second a nomination. So I'd like to begin with, are there any nominations for President of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for 2021?
I nominate Commissioner A.K. Hassan for president.
I'll second that.
I second the nomination.
Commissioner A.K. Hassan has been nominated for the role of President of the Minneapolis Park Board for 2021. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Cogill has been nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Going one last time, are there any additional nominations? Okay, very good. We have two candidates for president for 2021 for the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board president. When I call your name, please indicate which individual you are voting for. So
Secretary,
this isn't a yes or
Secretary Ringgold.
Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, Secretary Ringgold. I'd like to hear from both candidates, and I believe it's customary to allow commissioners to speak prior to the vote. And I'd like to take that opportunity as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Commissioner Hassan and Commissioner Cogill, I will offer you each 3 minutes to address the board, starting with Commissioner Hassan.
All right, well, thank you so much, Secretary Ringo. Congrats for re-electing again. Well, I'll be short as I don't have that much time, but I'm honored to be appointed to represent the Park Board as the last term of our election. If I'm successful in my bid, my committee will be sharing another barrier, and the first Somali American will be elected as the executive officer of the municipal body of a government in America. I'm hoping that my colleagues will support this historic run. My run for the Park Board president is not just about me or breaking a glass ceiling in our community. It's about what our city needs, our kids. 2020 has been a difficult year for the Park Board, as it has been for the whole city, and 2021 promises will be difficult. We have faced new and unexpected challenges we couldn't have been imagined just a year ago. Like any other organization, we had successes, but we have also had high-profile failures. The youth of our city are still dangerously underinvested when it comes to programming. We cannot just protect youth investments from cuts. We must double down on them. In 2019, one of the outgoing acts as a vice president of the Minneapolis Park Board was creating a special committee with Mayor Fry and youth service agencies across our city to better coordinate our youth in leadership. That this youth service committee only convened 2 times in 2020. Today, we are beleaguered by youth violence, and we have set on our today in our hands. Pandemic or not, we must not let this work sit on the sidelines. I have great mentors. I'm forever grateful, and my colleagues who always supported me, who have been there for the last 2 terms. I served as a vice president of the Park Board, and I've learned a lot during that time. While I've learned much from my colleagues, I remain grounded in the movement. Work for the first inspired me to run for the Park Board, and I wouldn't lose this as president. I was such as admired President Donna Cogill and previous President Bradburn work, I saw them oftentimes shy away from their ideals in order to govern the board. I don't believe a good governance and advancing the progressive agenda are mutually exclusive. We do not need to compromise our progressive ideas in order to make compromise with colleagues. I get another 1 minute, right?
Commissioner Hassan, that was the 3-minute mark.
Can I? I still have another 1 minute, right? Left for me.
You would have 1 minute on your second time.
Okay.
So, thank you. Commissioner Cogill, would you like to give remarks for 3 minutes?
Hopefully I'll be briefer than that. Thank you, Secretary Ringgold. Thank you to Commissioner Meyer and to Vice President Vitoff for nominating and seconding me for a second term as president. And thank you to Commissioner Hassan for stepping up and running and also stating some of his values, many of which I share. It's true that the last year has been hard. I think that I am the person to continue to serve as the presiding officer of this organization into our final year, and I would be honored to do so. There is a lot that we've done and a lot that we have not completed. Some of the key issues that we need to confront this year have already been ongoing conversations. Our investment in young people, looking at any vacancy savings, as well as proceeds from the taxes that we now have awareness of that we can invest. Closing out our commitment to moving away from using MPD for events in the park system, and ensuring that we are successful partners with all other governmental agencies in working with the unsheltered populations that have been in our parks. The park system and myself have done a lot in this last year in working towards some of these goals, and I don't think that this work is finished, and I would like the opportunity to bring it across the finish line. I also think that I have shown myself to be somebody who's committed to this organization and committed to doing the work of the park board and learning about the park board. And I think I've also shown myself somebody who's willing to listen to all sides of this board. Now, while I don't believe I'll be getting unanimous support this evening, I will continue to be a president for the entire board should I be accepted to serve out one more year as the president of the park board. It's been a great honor, and I hope to continue to serve in this capacity. Thank you.
Commissioner Hassan, at the top of the meeting, I said we would use section 1D2. Would you like the second, or the 1 minute for the second time to a topic?
Yes.
All right, here you go.
So much, but hey, I think the board is divided, and I think we want someone that can bring the board together. And I think I have that experience. I mean, I can disagree with President Cogill. You had 1 year to bring the board together, and it has been a failure. And I hope that my colleagues can see that. And I mean, it's not about just being a part, but it's about who can bring the board together. And I think that's what that's the leadership that we need more than ever. And I think I can bring that. And thank you so much. I hope my colleagues can support me and trust me and to give me the opportunity to serve the board and to bring the board together. Thank you.
Commissioner Cogill, did you want the final minute as well?
No, thank you.
All right. Commissioners, we're now ready to vote on the president of the board for 2021.
Secretary Ringgold, in previous annual meetings, commissioners have had the chance to discuss the vote before we went into vote, and I'd like to avail myself of that opportunity under the board rules. I don't know if other commissioners would as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. I didn't see any hands raised, but this would be the opportunity to do that. Commissioner Bourne, would you like to start?
Thank you. I would.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Secretary Ringgold, President Cogill. Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. Thank you also for running. I think everybody on this board this year has talked about the level of dysfunction that we've faced. I haven't seen this level since the, respectfully speaking, the John Gerben era of the park board. He did a lot of good things, but there was a lot of dysfunction and division among the board. President Cogill and I talked about this after a very contentious passage of the budget. I said, and I'm reading the exchange, this doesn't seem to be working. Who can bring us together through 2021, an election year, actually accomplish some things and keep staff in check, which sometimes, respectfully to our staff, that needs to happen. And President Cogill responded with 2 letters, AK. And then we moved on to some other topics about who is running in the general election. And so I agree with President Cogill. I think AK Hassan has the ability to do all of those things and more. We've just seen a very difficult year. We've seen some very noble efforts to try to bring this board together. Some noble efforts that I also failed at in trying to bring this board together. And I'm reminded of Superintendent Emeritus's Merrill's comments about we're all still running in elections. And now that we're in an election year, I don't see that being any different. And beyond just personalities and the dysfunction of this board that I think we all agree is there, we have some real work to do. I think a deciding factor for me was learning that in part of our compromise with the mayor's office in not getting the funding that we needed to close our $2 million gap in youth investment was the commissioning of a cross-jurisdictional youth service committee to talk about closing that gap. That met 2 times in 2020. And respectfully, President Cogill, Vice President Vita, it met 2 times under your watch. We had a lot of opportunity to do other important things. We managed to have a lot of meetings about doing some bike trails. We had a lot of meetings about homeless encampments, all very important things. But to just not take the mayor up on his promise to work with us there and to let that fall on the sidelines and be experiencing a plague of youth violence is just I appreciate the work that Vice President Vita and President Cogill have put into this year. It's time to bring the board together, and it's time to focus on what I think all of us want to focus on. It's time to stop talking about equity and start acting on that. And I don't think that there's a better way than to elect the first Somali American leader of the Minneapolis Park Board, and that would be Vice President Hassan. I ask for everyone's support in that vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Commissioner Vita, you have your hand raised. Here are your 3 minutes.
Thank you. I just want to say that I've appreciated working with Commissioner Cogill over this past year. We have had some tough times, and we have managed to work through it in a professional way. I got a phone call from Commissioner Hassan yesterday. Lovely conversation. We spoke on the phone for a long time. My husband and I both appreciate your kind words, but it was the first phone call that I've received from him in a very long time. After a long summer of reaching out, I appreciate this idea around us being able to move forward, even though I don't see where Commissioner Hassan is going to build that bridge. Again, Commissioner Hassan and I had a great conversation. I hope that we can move forward in maintaining a working relationship and actually working on projects together, as I have asked in the past. He did give me a full commitment that he wanted to work together moving forward, whether he was elected as president or not. So I'm looking forward to working with you, Commissioner Hassan, moving forward. I will not be voting for you to be the president of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. As I told you yesterday, we have not built a relationship on trust, and I don't know where that would leave me as a commissioner who has many things that I want to work on with you or whomever moving forward. That's it for me.
Commissioner Severson, you have your hand raised. I'll give you your 3 minutes now.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I will be supporting Commissioner A.K. Hassan and his presidency this evening. I share the same sentiment as Commissioner Vitaw. I received one phone call for a person who was running for leadership, and that was A.K. Hassan. I did not receive a phone call from, Commissioner Cogill. And with that, it's a pretty easy decision for me to make this evening. I also am extremely confident that Commissioner Hassan is supportive and wants to move on youth violence initiatives that are devastating the community I represent, which is North Minneapolis. He doesn't want to just talk about it. He wants to make action and move on it. I think our bike lanes and plowing our bike lanes is important, but I think even more important that is the action we should be taking to protect our youth and investing in our youth when it comes to youth violence prevention. I would ask that my colleagues support me tonight in supporting A.K. Hassan as our next president of the Park Board.
Commissioners, I don't see any further hands raised. Is there anybody who isn't able to use the raise hand function?
I can't.
Okay.
For some reason.
Commissioner French, your 3 minutes.
Okay. There's been a lot of things said tonight. We talked about, the friction that exists on this board. I think that's healthy, actually. I think it's healthy when people have, different debates and different opinions about stuff. That's how democracy works. Commissioner Hassan has when I first met him, he said the first thing that's on his agenda was the youth. Right now, we have an upsurge in youth violence in our city. We try to do some revolutionary things. We try to put some more money in the budget to focus on youth, but I don't think leadership was ready for that. And we need leadership that's going to try to tamper down some of the violence that's happening in our city. We are in a unique position to do that. I'll be supporting A.K. Hassan for president of the Minneapolis Park Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner French. I don't see any additional hands raised. Is there anybody else who's unable to use the raise hand function? Okay, then what I will do is I will read each commissioner's name, and when you respond, either respond with Commissioner Hassan or Commissioner Cogill as your choice for president for 2021. Commissioner Vitaw.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Severson.
Commissioner Hassan.
Commissioner Musich.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Meyer.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Hassan.
Commissioner Hassan.
Commissioner French.
Commissioner Hassan.
Commissioner Forney.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Bourne.
The 6th District Commissioner is casting his vote against white supremacy and for equity in action instead of equity in talk. The 6th District Commissioner cast their vote for Somalia's greatest son in Minneapolis, Commissioner Hassan.
So the final vote count is 4 votes for Commissioner Hassan and 5 votes for Commissioner Cogill. Commissioner Cogill is the president of the Minneapolis Park Board for 2021. I don't have a gavel to hand you, but I will make you the co-host.
Thank you, Secretary Ringgold. Thank you, commissioners, everybody here tonight. I hope to serve with honor this year and take very seriously the stead of this task before us. I will move through the appointments of officers. The next item on our agenda is the election of vice president for the one-year term. I'll entertain at this time nominations for that position. Commissioner Meyer.
I nominate Commissioner Vita.
Second.
Commissioner Vita has been nominated to be the vice president of the park board. Are there any other nominations? Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, and congratulations, President Cogill. It's with honor that I would nominate Commissioner Hassan to serve as vice president.
Commissioner Hassan has been nominated to be the vice president of the park board. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Hassan has been nominated and seconded for the vice presidency position. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll ask if either of those nominated would like to speak to their nomination.
I would.
All right. Commissioner Vita, you go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you,
muted.
President Cogill. I'm excited to call you President Cogill again. It has been, again, a pleasure to serve with you as the president of the park board. And, being your vice president has definitely been a hard road. It hasn't been easy. I thought that, our fellow commissioners would work with us and not against us. And that hadn't happened. And I feel like you handled yourself well enough in those hard and trying times. I appreciate my fellow commissioners nominating me. I'd be honored to serve as the vice president for the second year. Despite comments from the previous vice president telling me that this wasn't a real job, it was just a title. I found that it was very hard. I put a lot of work into it, very different than me just serving as Parks Commissioner. I've enjoyed every single day of it, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And so I would ask my fellow commissioners to please vote for me to be your vice president of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vita. Did Commissioner Hassan want to speak to the nomination?
I'll pass.
Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. Are there any other individuals wishing to speak? Seeing none. Oh, Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, President Cogill. I can't, Vice President Vita, thank you for your service, for the many successes that you have had. We've had some tough and strong disagreements. I think that you've put your heart into the role. I've seen former Vice President Hassan put his heart and soul into the role as well. It's interesting hearing your nomination speech. I'm remembered to some of the conversations that then Vice President Hassan and I had 2 years ago about saying that, we really wish that we could have gotten the entire board to work with us instead of against us. And there were some folks that just were never really interested in that from day one. And again, I'm echoing Superintendent Emeritus's Merrill's words that some of us had never stopped running from the 2017 election. If we're all sincere in trying to build a cohesive board, I think a divided government makes a lot of sense in this case. Again, if President Cogill was faithful enough to believe that A.K. Hassan would make a better president than he would, as in the conversation me, was certainly what he told me. I would have to imagine he would also think he would be very competent and excel in the role of vice president, which is a role that he has already proven that he can excel in. And maybe this would be a wonderful step to bring this board together. I was concerned with some of the comments that Vice President Vita made during the budget when we were trying to get additional resources for Rec Plus in North Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago, when she said she doesn't represent North Minneapolis. I think we need a strong advocate in North Minneapolis with our at-large commissioners for the resources in North Minneapolis. It's where the most disparity is. And I just haven't seen Vice President Vita be a strong champion for North Minneapolis on this board. And in my time as president, I saw Vice President Hassan step up for that. And I'm sure he would continue to do the same for all of us that really want North Minneapolis invested in. I'm sure he would do an exemplary job, even though he represents the Cedar Riverside Powderhorn area. He would do a phenomenal job of representing North Minneapolis. I can't think of a better vice president that would. So I would encourage us all to make this move towards conciliation of this dysfunctional board and continue to put some faith in Vice President Hassan, who has absolutely earned it.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Not seeing anybody else speaking here. I'll just say I have had the honor of serving with Vice President Vita this last year. She has been a very hard worker and a very strong partner, somebody who is willing to have conversations with me on all issues, is willing to have conversations with all board members, and who has remained throughout her tenure on this board committed to the park board. And for those reasons, I am proud to support her. I'm seeing no other hands raised. Seeing no other hands raised. This time I will ask the secretary to
President Cogill, I'm not sure if if Commissioner Hassan is still on the line, if maybe he's having technical difficulties.
Commissioner Hassan is on the line, according to my.
I'm back. I had some connection problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. I'll ask the secretary to go through the commissioners, to ask commissioners to each commissioner to say who they will be supporting for vice president.
Well, President Cogill, I will withdraw my name.
Commissioner Hassan is withdrawing his name from consideration for vice president, and that leaves only Commissioner Vita in consideration. I will ask the secretary to take the roll on Commissioner Vita's nomination for vice president.
Commissioner Vita.
You're muted.
Aye. Yes.
Commissioner Severson.
Abstain.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Hassan. Commissioner Hassan. Commissioner French.
Yes.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Bourne.
Present for the vote.
Commissioner Bourne present for the vote. So is that a,
I'm having connection problems, Jennifer.
Council Rice, how do I record present for the vote?
At this point, the city's present, so you can vote yes, no, or abstain.
Commissioner Bourne, do you have a preference on your vote?
I am present for the vote.
Commissioner Hassan?
Abstain.
President Cogill?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes, 2 abstain, and 1 present for the vote.
Thank you. Vice President Vita is again Vice President Vita. Moving on with the agenda, we have already unanimously approved Secretary Ringgold to continue her service. And now we'll move on to the selection of our
Point of order.
We have not elected a secretary for 2021. We have elected a secretary for tonight.
So
My apologies. Thank you.
I would like to nominate Jennifer Ringgold as the board secretary for the 2021 year.
Commissioner Musich has nominated Jennifer Ringgold to be secretary. The nomination has been made and seconded. Any other hands raised regarding the secretary nomination? Any other hands? Seeing none, I'll ask the secretary to please, Commissioner Musich.
Sorry, I thought you were asking for additional nominations. I just wanted to confirm with Secretary Ringgold that she is still interested in serving in this capacity for the board for 2021.
President Cogill, Commissioner Musich, thank you for the question, and yes, if elected, I will happily serve 2021.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Musich. Any other hands raised regarding Secretary Ringgold's nomination or other nominations? I'm not seeing any, so I will ask the secretary for this evening to take the role on the secretary for 2021.
Vice President Vita.
Aye.
Commissioner Severson.
Aye.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Hassan.
Aye.
Commissioner French.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, Jennifer. Aye.
President Cogill.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
That carries. Thank you, Secretary Ringgold, for your continued service. Now moving on to selection of board attorney. I'll ask for nominations for Park Board General Counsel. Vice President Vita.
I'd like to nominate Counsel Brian Rice.
Second.
Vice President Vita has nominated Counsel Brian Rice, which was seconded by Commissioner Severson. Are there any other nominations or comments? Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, President. I would like unanimous consent for the board to recognize the firm Rice Michaels Walther as the legal counsel for the Minneapolis Park Board and not the individual Brian Rice.
That's the name of the firm.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Rice Michaels Mosley.
Mosley.
No, Michael. Rice, Walters.
Rice,
and Mosley.
Mosley, Walters.
Yeah.
Rice, Walter, and Mosley.
I will entertain that as a friendly amendment to Vice President Vita's nomination. The firm that we are considering is Rice, Walters, Mosley for general counsel to the Park Board. Is there any other discussion or comments from any commissioners? Commissioner Forn? No? Okay. Not seeing any. Not seeing any additional hands. Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, President Cogill. Mr. Rice, is your firm ready and willing to accept representing the Minneapolis Park Board again for another year?
Certainly are.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Seeing no other hands raised. And with that, I will ask the secretary to please, oh, we're not taking the roll. We're asking for unanimous consent. I'm not seeing any objections. Are there any objections to unanimous consent for continuing to use Rice, Walters, Mosley as our general counsel for the Park Board? Commissioner Bourne.
Commissioner President Cogill, excuse me, I'm not sure if you were referring to my suggestion for unanimous consent. That was to have the record reflect the accurate name of the firm. I think it would be, I'm hoping we would have a unanimous vote, but I think it would be improper to have such an important selection done by unanimous consent. I think the record should show that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. I will take that under advisement, and I will ask the secretary to please take the roll on the appointment of our general counsel.
Commissioner Severson.
Aye.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Hassan.
Aye.
Commissioner French.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, Brian. Aye.
Vice President Vita.
Aye.
President Cogill.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
That carries. Moving on to the election of board representatives, I'll just note that Commissioner Meyer will continue his service on the Minneapolis Planning Commission, rounding out his second year in that capacity. I will continue to serve as the Park Board appointee on the Board of Estimate and Taxation.
Point of order, President Cogill.
Yes.
If I'm reading the agenda correctly and the charter and the Minneapolis charter correctly, the Board of Estimate and Taxation representative on the Park Board is to be elected for a 1-year term. If there is no election held, that the president will sit in that seat. I think it would be appropriate to ask if the board is interested in having an election for that seat.
Certainly. Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Is the board interested in having an election for the seat on the Board of Estimate and Taxation?
Yes.
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 Thank you. That is sufficient. I'll ask for nominations for that position. Commissioner Meyer.
I nominate President Cogill.
Second.
I nominate Londell French.
Second.
Second.
All right, there have been 2 nominations. Are there any other nominations? any other nominations? All right, I will ask for folks to, for commissioners to provide, if they want, any comment on their nomination. I'll start with Commissioner French.
The BET is a unique entity in our city, and I think we have a chance to really invest in our youth if we have a strong voice on the BET, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a strong voice for youth on our BET.
Thank you, Commissioner French. Commissioner Bourne.
I'm sorry, President Cogill, would you like to give a nomination speech first?
Well, I'll say that I was not necessarily expecting to have a second person be interested in serving on the BET. This is something new to me, and I'll say I've enjoyed serving on the BET, and I think that it is critical that whoever does serve on the BET is working in close collaboration with the president of the board, so that we are in concert in what we're communicating to that body, as it is our main point of contact regarding our levy and our budget with the rest of the city enterprise. And it's important that we maintain that collaborative space. But I appreciate Commissioner French being interested in serving, and I'm looking forward to hearing from others who are maybe interested in commenting right now. Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, President Cogill. I can't think of a better person to serve on the BET for at this point in time. It's happens in my time on the board. It's happened as often as it hasn't that we've had a different representative to the BET than we have the president. It's pretty common in modern history. I think Commissioner Tabb served when she was not the president. Commissioner Fine had served when he was not the president. I think the list is longer than that in just the time that I've served on the board. It is a separate seat than the presidency of the park board. We expect that they do advance the park board's recommendation and request on the BET, and I have no doubt that Commissioner French or Commissioner Cogill will do that. But it is also a unique and independent voice, and it sets policy for the entire city. This year, when we had, and it responds to a mayor's recommended levy and budget. At the beginning of this year, we had went into budget conversations, assuming that from the first meeting between the president and the mayor, that we were going to be facing significant cuts across the board, and everybody was going to be looking at an austerity style budget. I think the board went along with that to work in unification, to work in collaboratively with the city. But then when the mayor presented a levy request that matched projections that were 5-year projections that were done 5 years ago, not taking into account a pandemic or the major artery of Minneapolis being burned to the ground, I think I had expected our representative on the BET to come back with that information and let us have an opportunity to discuss our position. That didn't happen. And in turn, we had a historically disproportionate levy. I know President Cogill disagrees with that representation of it. I would just say go back and check the numbers. It's only been that disparate a couple of times in a generation. And we've had a period recently of where the mayor and the BET and the council were working together. And I feel a little bit like our representative on the BET this year might have got a little swindled in the shock and magistry of the BET. So I think Commissioner French would do an outstanding job in making sure that we're not facing a false scarcity argument with the city's budget this year, and making sure that there is a youth levy that happens, and making sure that our community does have the investments that it needs. So I hope we would all support Commissioner French in this endeavor.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. Commissioner Severson.
Thank you, President Cogill. Just your experience on the BET. Are there any people of color currently on the BET? Do you know?
Are you talking to me, Commissioner Severson?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. You were on the BET last time. Yes.
Yeah. So no, I would hesitate to put. I don't know everybody's background of identity, but I would say it's generally safe to say since Representative or City Council member Warsami stepped away early in the last year, replaced by Council member Fletcher, that no, there isn't that representation.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you all. I'm seeing no other hands raised. I'll just say I have had the pleasure of working with Commissioner French in the last year and over the entirety of our term, and I have found Commissioner French consistent in his word and consistent in his beliefs, and somebody that I can, even when we disagree with each other, work with. And I'm excited to see him, Commissioner French, I'm excited to see you want to step up in this capacity, and would be happy to support your nomination.
Point of order, President Cogill, would you be willing to withdraw your name from nomination?
I wouldn't want to not allow folks to vote how they wish on this item. So no, I will not be doing that. I'll ask the secretary to take the roll on the two candidates for BET.
Commissioner Severson.
Commissioner French.
Commissioner Musich.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Meyer.
Commissioner Cogill.
Commissioner Hassan.
Commissioner French.
Commissioner French.
Commissioner French.
Commissioner Forney.
Commissioner Cogill. President Cogill, right?
Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, Londell. Commissioner French.
Vice President Vita.
Thank you, Commissioner French, for stepping up. Commissioner French.
President Cogill.
Commissioner French.
President Cogill has 3 votes. Commissioner French has 6 votes.
Congratulations, Commissioner French. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I'd like to work with you on this transition, President Cogill, to make a smooth transition and try to figure out what buckets of work you were working on so those buckets don't get dropped. So looking forward to the next year.
Fantastic. Moving on to the president's appointments of board representatives. On this list, I am going to say the following here. So the appointments from 2020 will remain the same in 2021, with the following changes. Starting with Standards and Conduct, I will be appointing Commissioner Meyer to chair that committee. I will remove myself from the Planning Committee and replace me with Commissioner Musich. And believe that is everything. I then will also be replacing Mr. Willicke on the Minneapolis Tree Advisory Commission with Carol Sursland. And I will also ensure that, I believe this is already the case, but I'll have Vice President Vita be serving on the Youth Advisory, or the Youth Coordinating Board. And those are all the changes. Commissioner Bourne.
Thank you, President Cogill. It's certainly your prerogative to pick positions on the board, but I do wonder, were you dissatisfied with Commissioner Hassan's service as chair? It just seems, if anything, maybe a little retaliatory. It also really disrupts the we're blessed to have many people of color on our board. I'm nervous that this decreases the number of people of color in leadership. So I was just wondering if you had anything on that. And then it's my understanding that you are continuing to have the Police Oversight Committee still function. And I'm just wondering if that committee didn't seem to meet a whole lot last year other than to give awards to police. And so I'm just wondering if those actually were the president's intent. Of course, it's his prerogative to decrease the diversity in our leadership if he chooses, and to continue to give awards to police. But I just wanted to make sure that that was the intent.
Commissioner Bourne, the intent was not in any way something that was intended to be against any one commissioner, but rather for a commissioner who had expressed interest in chairing Standards and Conduct Committee. The one time that Standards and Conduct did meet in 2020, there was not much interest from the chair in being part of that discussion. I have gone forward with the request of Commissioner Meyer, who has a variety of items that he would like to work on. For clarity, Commissioner Hassan is still the Vice President of Standards and Conduct.
President Cogill, I appreciate the explanation. It was my understanding that Commissioner Hassan that we had an illegally called meeting of the Standards and Conduct Committee last year that was not called by the chair of the Standards and Conduct Committee, and that he didn't have the opportunity to approve his own agenda. I don't know if Commissioner Hassan doesn't have an interest in chairing it, it's fine, but I think it's a little unfair to illegally call somebody else's committee, bulldoze them away, and not give them that opportunity to chair their own committee. So that's what I recall from the record when that was convened, and I have no reason not to take Commissioner Hassan at his word. And I just think he's done a phenomenal job chairing that committee, and to me, he's shown interest. So maybe that's different, but I hope we can keep up the great trend of diversifying our board. But again, it is your prerogative to walk that backwards. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. I will note that given the fact that I have maintained my commitment to ensuring that you yourself are not serving on any committees, in fact, the diversity of our committees is quite robust. And I don't have any other items to discuss on that. I'll ask, I have a couple hands raised, Vice President Vita.
President Cogill, I just need you to clarify. So at the end of last year, I believe you put all commissioners on admin and finance. Does that mean we're all going to be on admin and finance, or are you going back to the original appointments from the beginning of 2020 for admin and finance?
Thank you for that question, Vice President. I should have clarified I would be going back to the original appointments of 2020 for admin and finance.
Okay, can the secretary please give us the names of the members of admin and finance? I personally got in a little trouble last year about open meeting laws, and I just want to make sure I have on the record who is going to be in this committee. Please.
President Cogill, Vice President Vita. Commissioner Forney is the chair. Commissioner Hassan is the vice chair. Commissioner French, Commissioner Musich, and Vice President Vita are committee members.
Thank you very much, Secretary. Also, I would just like to say, I hope that Commissioner Hassan speaks up for himself in regards to the Standards and Conduct Committee. It is it's a bit troubling to hear someone else speak on his behalf about him being chair of a committee. So I hope to hear from Commissioner Hassan.
I had my hand raised before President called you.
Commissioner Hassan?
Yes, it was unfair for you to call first, Commissioner Vita, while I had my hand raised, Mr. President. And can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I had my hand raised, and I don't know if you can see or not, but yes, Mr. President, you do say you keep your words, which is not true, because you have not discussed with me about the standards of committee and agenda, and you were the one that approved without my consultation, and that was the thing that pissed me off. And you have to respect the chair of the committee. Just like the way you set up your own agenda, we have the right to know. I had no problem me chairing the committee, which I did. I still didn't refuse, with your respect. So, and now you taking me off. You didn't consult with me. Me and you, we chatted on the phone a few minutes before the board meeting, and now you're taking me off meeting, and which I think that's intent for you to discriminate people of color to opt, to become the chair, run some of the important committees that they want to run, or they're interested.
Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. Commissioner Bourne for the second time, followed by Vita.
Thank you. Thank you again, President Cogill. And just to remind folks that I appreciate the openness of this discussion because it is the president's prerogative to the direction that she or he wants to take the board. I do have some concerns. In the leadership of the Admin and Finance Committee and the leadership of the Standards and Conduct Committee, at the most important time that the Standards and Conduct Committee was meeting, and I'm glad that Vice President Vita reminded me of this. The law was broken however many times in having secret meetings with a secret quorum of the Administration and Finance Committee. That then led to the most contentious 5-4 budget that, again, I've seen in 11 budgets now. So I hope that we have some mechanism to ensure that our commissioners follow the law. I also have, I think, and I'm hoping that he's corrected this by now, but it's my understanding that, Commissioner Meyer had gone for a year without filing just the most basic campaign finance report. And for a committee that is a committee that makes our rules around our governance, behavior, and ethics, I'm just concerned that a commissioner that wanted to go so long without disclosing who his donors were, I think has maxed out a fine, has had campaign violations, and has run against Senator Dietzick as well. It just might not be the best symbol. And, you know, I certainly believe in second chances, but after the campaign violations against his run against Senator Dietzick and then a repetition of those violations, he didn't file a campaign finance report for the park board, and you're selecting him to chair the standards and conduct committee for the park board. I mean, I think it's directly related. And again, I mean, I think we have a chair that has done an admirable job. I think Commissioner Meyer will do a fine job on the committee, but I would really hope at the very least, I hope Commissioner Meyer is in compliance with the law today and is, but I know nearly a year has gone by. And so President Cogill, I don't know what you will do to ensure that your committee leadership selections are just complying with the most basic laws, not rules, laws. We've got some great rules about when to turn our cameras off. We've got some great rules about attendance, but we have laws about open meetings, and we have laws about campaign finance reports. And two of your very important committee
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne,
are in violation of both. So I just hope you've taken that into account.
I appreciate that and look forward to continued conversations about our boards, but I am sticking with the structures that I have read off. Vice President Vita.
I just had another clarifying question. There is a point made about award ceremonies for the park police. What committee was Commissioner Bourne referring to? Is this the Park Police Oversight Committee that I chair, or is this the Community Advisory Committee? I'm not sure what he's referring to because I don't recall award ceremonies for park police.
Thank you, Vice President. Well, if Commissioner Borden would like to briefly respond, that's fine. Otherwise, I'd like to move on. We could take that conversation offline, but Commissioner.
Okay, that's fine too. We can take it offline. I just want to go on the record with saying that.
Yeah, thank you, President Cogill. I would like to briefly respond. I'm sure the chair of the committee remembers the at least one, and I can pull it so it's on record. It's on record. Next time there were several awards that were given in the committee that you chair, Vice President Vita, and I'd be happy to pull those records and that might refresh your memory. It was not the community-driven police oversight committee that has sat dormant since you and President Cogill have come into leadership. It's the committee that you chair, but hopefully that other community-driven committee, the two of you and your leadership will not have sit dormant anymore.
I would like to say that has sat dormant because they don't have a quorum. There's not enough members remaining in that committee to meet.
I hope that can come to the board's attention.
Thank you, Vice President Vita and Commissioner Bourne. I appreciate it. Moving on, I will ask for yes, Secretary.
For the Standard and Conduct Committee, just to be clear, I've got Chair Meyer, Vice Chair Hassan, Commissioner Musich, and Commissioner Vita. I heard you say that Commissioner Bourne wasn't on it. Who is the additional commissioner?
The additional commissioner is Commissioner French.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Seeing no hands raised, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.